Hey, welcome back. Yeah, welcome back to the table. So we're gonna do turn 4. So before we clean up, I had just finished turn 3. The last video, I don't know, something went wrong. Part of the video is gone, so you might have missed how this came about at the end. We did end up, just in case it was lost, we did lose a squad, and we did lose an American officer. The Germans have suffered quite a few casualties because I've been doing combat wrong. So we'll address that here in just a moment. But what I'm going to do is take the finished markers off. So maybe I didn't actually need to route them. Then we'll go here, finished, finished, finished. There was something else with double time too, but mostly like if you did an attack, the double time pretty much would give a penalty to attack, like if you shoot because you're under double time. But they didn't do like a tactical move or anything like that. They moved, so they didn't shoot. So we didn't worry about that. I just gave them the extra movement points they needed to get there. Alright, so what were we doing wrong with combat? Well, first, yeah, I messed up what number you divide by the terrain bonus. So when you are doing your combat chart, get that's odds. Is this the right one? Yeah, fire factor. So for example, you add up your fire factor like you're supposed to, and let's say you end up with 12 fire factor. Then you roll your dice and you modify the dice for any modifiers that apply, and then you cross-reference like normal. So what it is it's not the fire factor that you divide by the defense of the terrain value, it's the number of hits that you get. And actually, that makes a huge difference. Like, I can't begin to tell you how big a difference that is. That changes this completely. So where I was ending up with such a deadly game wasn't the case at all. I actually should have had a lot fewer casualties, and that was pointed out to me in the comments. So thank you. That's why the comments are so important. It's those little nuances that I sometimes mess up. So that was a big deal. It's not the fire factor that you divide by the defense, the terrain defense number. It's the number of hits. So for example, if I had rolled and had 5 hits and they're in a built-up area, which you divide by 4, that would have been one hit. That I should not have had like 4 and 5 wiping out platoons and whatnot, which would have changed how often I would need to make the checks for morale. I mean, that's a huge change. You're probably ending up with a lot less casualties and a lot of shooting, and that's where stacking and coordinating with your platoons actually becomes very, very important, because you got to get the high fire factor values to do something, or why assault will be important later, because then you can bypass some of that. So that's huge. So with that in mind, we'll go ahead and see what we can do here about bringing these routed guys back. Now, because I have borked this routed group up, I don't think they're coming back unless we roll like a 2 or something on their morale, because I have unfairly inflated their casualty numbers. So I do feel bad about that, but not too bad. Because this was only 6 turns, this is turn 4. We will play the scenario again, and I will make sure to do combat more correctly, and that should give us a completely different outcome. But we'll go ahead and finish up with what we have here. But as it stands right now, well, I'm looking, really the only things left on here is this one German company, Charlie Company, and routed. So I tell you what, just to be somewhat fair, we'll go ahead and just say that they have passed the route. We're going to say they made the route just to give a little bit of firepower back. So I'm cheating their route roll to see if they recover. So first you would have checked for the officer. Then the officer would have to rally the people that are with him, that he's attached to. So it's actually kind of a laborious process once they're routed. So what we'll do is, I know that it's wrong, we're cheating, but just so we can maybe get a little bit of firepower back. Now they are reduced to that, so I will keep that. So we've got the machine gun unit there, and then they got 2 rifle squads, and that one's reduced. Then they're on an objective point. So yeah, This actually should be playing a lot differently than it has. So with that in mind, we'll move forward. And like I said, I wanted just to kind of finish this out. Again, this is like my learning opportunity. And then hopefully when we come back and play the next, play this scenario one more time, we'll be good to go. All right, we're going to follow this is good. I'm glad I wrote this down. It's nice so I don't have to open it up in the book. I'm sure once you've played a few times, you remember the phase of play. It is only like 4 steps. So the command phase, we check for out of command. Now it does say at the beginning, your replacement officers come back. And I gotta remember who died. That was Bravo Company's officer. So I'm gonna put Bravo Company right there. They now have Private First Class Alexander is in charge. All right, hoorah, Private. And I'm going to do that as part of the command phase. Seems appropriate for when to bring an officer back. He's been promoted. We check for out of command, so they're in command. Charlie Company is in command, and Alpha Company up here, they're in command. Then same thing for the Germans. His command radius is 1, so they're in command, and they're in command. Now, I wish I had something that would mark who owns what. I believe the Germans own this. The Americans now, if they haven't touched this one yet, they're going to move this way south to try and engage here. So we will capture that point. So currently, as it stands, the Americans have clear advantage over everything. So we'll go and check for initiative. So green for the Americans, red for the Germans. Americans are the attacker, plus they get +1 because they had initiative previously. So it's going to be tough for the Germans to seize it. Well, they both roll a 1, but with that +2 modifier for the Americans, Americans retain the initiative. So beginning of turn 4. Activation phase. Then we're going to alternate. Everybody's in command, so we can activate entire companies. We'll start with, we're going to start down here. I'm going to keep in mind that they have double time. So they can't double time again, but they don't need to move. They're in a nice defensive position. They're going to go ahead and attack at the Germans down here. And specifically, they're going to attack the command hex. So the range, I'm looking to see 1, 2, 3. The rifleman would be long range, so we probably won't do that. The machine gun can reach it, so they'll probably add in. The American squad, they can also fire in, but they would use half their fire factors. So this would be 6 fire factors from them. They're contributing. Now, the thing with the hedge, I would have to look in the bonus rules real quick because I don't remember if they can fire along the hex side. I think they can because they'd be firing along, because I got it here. That's in the special rules for bocage level 1. Basically, bocage hex sides block line of sight, but there is a clear line of sight in the following cases. Crossing one bocage hex side when at least one platoon is adjacent to it, you can. Crossing 2 bocage hex sides when both platoons are adjacent to these 2 bocage hex sides. Okay. Wheeled vehicles, I think, yeah, following the example, I think you can. Yeah, the thing with bocage, it's always kind of a pain because every game kind of does the bocage different because they're horrible. And what I'm looking at here in this case is my machine gun unit, the 6 points, is not quite running along this hex side. They are just slightly past it. If I don't have my laser, where's my little pulley here? I think, yeah, see, they're not running down the hex side, so I think they can see it. But that bocage is going to give them a little defense. So the bocage defense, let's see what it gives them. Bocage, where are you? I thought it was on this terrain chart. Oh boy. Have I not shot through? I thought we did some shooting through bocage. Oh, there it is, right there. defensive, just other terrain. Okay, so the bocage itself is mostly just looks like it's something that will block line of sight, but it doesn't, difficult to maneuver over, but doesn't provide, anything beyond just potentially blocking line of sight. They're in the clear, so there's no defensive modifier for this squad. They're going to get, or that group of soldiers, they're going to have a hard time since they're in the open. Alright, so this is going to be 6 points because they're out of range to get half fire factors. So that's 6 for the part of the fire group. Then the rest of the fire group is 6, and 6 is 12. So that is 12 fire factor plus their 6, that's 18 fire factor. Now, because they have semi-automatic weapons, they get -1 from their roll. Now we got to check to see if there's any other modifiers to combat, and I just sat that down. So target is not risky, it's not a double time target, it's not a moving foot target in a wood hex. Oh, that's artillery only. Target's not on a bridge, not armor fighting vehicle in same hex as infantry. Shot passes through 1 or 2 level hexes, nope. Improved position, nope. Target on crest line, nope. 6 or more infantry steps in 1 hex. Yes, because they've got 2 squads there, or 2 platoons, I should say. So they're going to get -1. 6 more infantry steps and AFV. Nope, that's artillery only. They're not marked risky. So that's -2 from the roll. So we want to roll low. That was not low. Okay, so the firefighter, I said it was 18. So I would look at 18. I subtract 2 from that. So that actually gives us 9. So if I cross-reference 9 with 18, that's 3. Now I would take that 3 hits, divide that by the defensive terrain number to get our final result, and there's none. So it's 3 hits. That's still bad. So what that means is one of these guys is going to get reduced, because there's rules for, like, if there's elite units get hits last, green takes hit first, and then you try to balance it out. But they're kind of equal in the priority. So what I will do is they would each get a -1. I've got some -1s here. So that would be first, right? 1 hit, 2 hit. Then one of these is going to be reduced. I'm going to reduce the non-semi-automatic group. So now we have one group that's reduced, one that has taken 1 step loss, so that satisfies the 3 hits. Then the leader, if I remember right from the rules, again, going off memory, let me just double check. I think the leader is only hit if the unit is eliminated, like if the attached group is eliminated, if one of those platoons is eliminated. So we're going to just double check that. Yeah, if it's accompanied by friendly platoons and these suffer 1 or more hits, either due to an attack or an assault, the only player must check if the officer becomes a casualty. Oh, so they take a hit, they're going to check anyway. So you roll 2d6, subtracting 1 for each hit. One of his platoons taking the attack. If the modified total is equal to 1 or less, the officer is eliminated. Alright, so we're going to subtract 3 from this roll because they took 3 hits. So he's fine. He is A-OK. Alright. And then that company is done. That's easy enough. Alright, then we're going to return fire here. So this company is going to return fire. 1, 2, 3. We're going to attack this platoon here because they're in range. We might have to maneuver to try and bring things to bear. But for now, what you could do is actually split. So I could have this part of the company attack here and this part of the company attack here. Now, it would be good. They're not going to worry about it. We're going to attack here because they're built up and we need to get them wounded a little bit. So what we'll do, well, yeah, now that's not going to work so good either. We have a reduced one, and they have 1 step loss. So on our combat chart, there is a reminder that says effective casualties on fire factors. So the initial fire factor was 6, so it's taken 1 step loss, so it's -1 to the fire factor. So their fire factor is actually going to be a 5, and then this is 3, so that's 8, 8, 8. And we add in the machine gun, that makes it 12, half because they're out of range, so that makes it 15. So they'll be attacking on a 15. We'll go for it. What could possibly go wrong with that? So there is no 15, so we look here at the 14. We're going to roll our 2 dice. They have a semi-automatic. Well, first of all, that's a terrible roll as well. So they have a semi-automatic, and there are 6 steps in there, so you subtract 2 from that. So on the 14, on the 8, and that's 3 hits for them. Now we divide that. Now that I understand that part, we divide that by the defense that's built up. So 3 divided by 5. So no hits. They need more firepower to bring against that. That's my guess why assaults will be important later. So that hurt them a lot. Alright, then it comes back to the Americans. Americans might want to reconsolidate a little bit. So let me see what we have in here. Yeah, we took some losses. So what we'll do is we are actually going to have them stay put, and we're going to move here. So we're just going to shift our resources, and we're going to put them all here, and that's it. That's what they're going to do. So they're ready to go. Then we have this German unit here. That's the last for Germany, so they need to move. Now that stack is in good order. They have basically 1 step, so they can't move in here yet. So he's still going to have to move them as 2 separate entities. But what we want to do is move up and be able to shoot into that. 1, 2, 3. Ooh. Not very good, because this puts them at long range, and there's no way that they can shoot in those built up areas. For this particular scenario, you're going to have to do some assaulting, I think, or have companies that Eddie didn't arbitrarily decrease incorrectly so they have more firepower. So this is tough. Even bringing them back, what will they do? We're going to try and maybe engage out here and catch these guys as they cross the bocage. So we've got 5 movement points. He's got 5 movement points. We can do double time. That would give us 8 because it adds 3 movement points. These woods, I think those are 2. That is light woods. It's 2 movement points. Otherwise, crossing the bocage is 1.5 plus the cost of terrain. That's clear. So it's actually just quicker to run through woods than cross the bocage. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then just plot it out. 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's do that. 5, 6, 7, 8. And now, as they come down, they can't shoot right this minute, but, you know, a little protection maybe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They can stop here. So that's what we'll do. We're going to come up here, and we're going to shift the battle a little bit and move it up that direction. Alright, then leaves us with our last American unit. Now, woods, light woods, do those light woods block line of sightage? They do. So there's a little bit of protection here. So we're going to activate all of these guys. They're going to move to capture that spot for sure. And then they're going to move here. See, now that we know there's Germans coming up, we're going to be a lot more cautious about what we do. And in essence, that kind of pins them down to prevent them from moving that way, because otherwise they'll get, you know, adjacent, which would lead us to assault rules, which come later in the book. So we're going to play it safe and just move like that. So that will put them at finished, and that will put them at finished. Hey, great. That would bring us to the end. So we do the marker removal stuff, and then we'll be ready to go for the next turn. Excellent. That worked out pretty good. I think I can just do these. These stacks are fiddly enough to need tweezers in some things, but I think good enough otherwise. Well, all right. I think that went better. So what we'll do is we'll leave it here like that. We're going to do this turn, post it, and then if there's any feedback, any corrections I need to make to just that basicness of the game, cool, I can implement that for the last couple of turns. I'll move the turn tracker. But we'll be doing turn 5 and turn 6 here pretty soon. That makes the game a lot more sense. It really does. Just that one change in how to determine combat damage makes a huge difference, and the game does not feel so deadly. Now it feels like, okay, that makes sense. I'm shooting into buildings. There's protection for buildings. That's why getting to those positions are so important first. And then this, controlling paths and yeah, okay, good. I'm happy with that. So we'll see how it goes. Overall, the game is playing out much better than what I had imagined that it would. I didn't know if I would enjoy activating companies and all that stuff, but the game actually plays pretty quick. There is a lot more to it in the rules that I haven't touched on yet, but as far as just the basics of moving, it's like most games, you just pay the cost of the terrain to move in. Bocage throws in its own little peculiarities. When you go to shoot stuff, it's just you check your range, check line of sight. And I haven't noticed any elevation changes, so hopefully I haven't mucked up the line of sight too badly. The only thing still that I need to maybe work on a little bit more will be morale checks and how much how morale works. I don't think that I needed to make a morale check here when they took the loss. I think it's only like when one of the platoons is eliminated or your officer is eliminated. Those kind of big events will cause a morale check. It's just not the fact that someone took some hits. But I'll reread that as well, because the morale is still the one sticking point I have on this. Otherwise, thanks for tuning in. I really appreciate you taking the time to watch. And I know this is a lot shorter than normal, but hopefully that's okay. I think some of you are gotten used to an hour, but I think some people will appreciate a shorter video on occasion. So to all of you that watched, thank you much, and we'll talk to you later. Bye.